Sorry. Hey, jeez. So she invited us, I guess. Like. Where the hell she put it?
This is right for the place.
Jesus. I told Ma I did not want a big one. Meant to be done before she got. Meant to be gone, actually. Okay. I'm not gonna fit half of this. Fuck. Fuck it. Some kid will get a kick out of finding them in the charity shop. You know, your hand is full of all these tiny bones and joints. They all move independently. When you punch, when you connect, the impact forces them over one another. They can break. So the hand wrap binds them all together. That way the shock is distributed across the whole hand. And what you want to do is go around the back of the hand. That way, when you make a fist, tightens. Some prefer to finish above the wrist. Gives you a bit more bend, hooks, uppercuts. My phone. Hey everyone, sorry I'm late. So, there's some people here. Came to hear my confession in person. This is Facebook Live, so if you wanted, cover your face. I know what you're thinking. It looks cool. So, this is how it starts. A 15-year-old in his back garden wants to be the next Bernard Dunn, or Katie Taylor, or Conor McGregor. In 2013, Conor McGregor was still on the dole. 4 years later, he's won 2 UFC world titles and pocketed $100 million for losing to Floyd Mayweather in one of the biggest fights in history. What a story. The thing is, I wanted that story. But Dunn, Taylor, McGregor, they had talent. I realised pretty quick I was only ever going to be second rate. But I still wanted to be connected to fighting. Ali Foreman. Kinshasa. 1974, the Rumble in the Jungle. Maybe the greatest boxing story ever. Ali, gloves to his head, elbows to his ribs, stood and swayed and was rattled and banged and shaken like a grasshopper at the top of a reed when the wind whips. And the ropes shook and swung like sheets in a storm, and Foreman would lunge in with his right at Ali's chin, and Ali go flying back, out of reach by a half inch, and half out of the ring, and then back off the ropes, with all the calm of a man swinging in the ring. So who really gets up close to the fight? I mean, who gets to study it? That's how I decided to be a reporter. I mean, I've been pretty shit at school. I didn't see the point, really. But when I discovered this vocation, I got it together. And I got the points to go and study. And then I got to college. My classmates either wanted to be social media influencers or Woodward and Bernstein. Either they were totally vacuous or they were social justice warriors. They wanted to change the world, speak truth to power. Fine. But what about telling stories? I mean, some of them thought sports journalism was okay, but UFC, they thought it was a joke. They were the kind of people who cared more about McGregor's antics than his success. Take tonight's fight against Khabib. When McGregor attacked that bus, the media establishment, they were delighted because this was exactly what they were waiting for. And one by one, they all started writing him off. Now he's back. And he's bigger than ever. Tonight's fight is going to be historic because McGregor knows what a story is. He's writing his own storyline. Like Ali. Like Trump. Donald Trump is one of the great underdog stories of our age. The outsider. The everyman who took on the establishment. Now, the liberals say, how can he be an everyman when he's so rich? Well, look how he spends his money. He lives in a gold home and he basically bought himself a trophy wife. Donald Trump spends his money exactly how an everyman would. Then they say it's chaotic. Of course it's chaotic. People voted for chaos. And they are loving the chaos. Admit it. We're all loving the chaos. What a story. But you couldn't say this kind of stuff in college. You might violate someone's safe space. The irony is, most of them weren't interested in politics. Half of them couldn't have named Andy Kenny, but they were all informed when it came to Trump. Okay, so they didn't like him, but he captivated them. Because people want stories. The bigger, the better. Trump gets that. McGregor gets that. I got that. The others, they just wanted to feel good about themselves. So when I got offered a start at the paper, on the subs desk after my summer internship, I quit college. The editor came up to me one day. A kid, a boy, 12-year-old, he killed himself near here, out in Mulhuddard. The boss told me to go to the funeral and try and talk to the family after. So I got there good and early. There was nobody there. And the altar was covered in flowers and cards from the boys' classmates. So I was up there, reading the cards, taking down their messages. It was very quiet. And then suddenly there was a woman at my elbow and she said, "Who the hell are you?" And I stuttered. I said, "I'm from the paper, I meant no disrespect." And then another woman appeared beside her and she said, "I'm his mother." And I thought, oh shit. The church had filled up at this stage. I thought, I'm about to get hit or yelled at in front of all these mourners. And the mother, she just said, "Will you write something beautiful?" So I got the story. And I got off the sub's desk. The death knock. That's what we call it. It's how cub reporters get their start. Now, you'll often get a door slammed in your face. You might get a slap. But maybe you'll get a line from a grieving mother or widow. And the staff reporters, they'd all done their time. They'd give me advice. Just go to the wake and walk in, as if you're a neighbour. Or take a snapper, that's a photographer. Let them hide nearby so if they close the door, you still get a photo. Or if you do get inside, ask for a glass of water. So when they leave the room, you get a chance to photograph the family photos they have on the mantelpiece. A lot of it was gangland stuff. So I got to know some of the guards. They'd send me tip-offs. One day a guard mate texted to say so-and-so had been killed in town, and he sent me his address. So I went straight there, and when the woman opened the door, I could see she didn't know yet. Her fella was lying under one of those white Garda tents in town, and they were on the way to her house, and I got there first. And to all intents and purposes, her world was still normal. And I stammered something about the wrong address. And I got out of there. And then last summer there was a car crash on the way back from a gig, and there were 4 killed and 2 of them were brothers. They were all my age. And I got asked to do the death knock, of course. So I went to the funeral first. And the priest said the family wanted to be left alone. They didn't want any media there. Now, funerals are public events. I've every right to be there. It's my job to tell the stories people want to hear. And when there's a tragedy, people want to hear about it. You can moralise about that all you like. But ask yourself, why are people paying good money to go and see Hamlet in town? Not because it's a bundle of laughs. We like the whiff of death. We need it. Reminds us we're alive. But this, the 2 brothers, Hemingway. The only place that you could see life and death, that is, violent death, now that the wars were over, was in the bull ring, and I wanted very much to go to Spain where I could study it. I was learning to be a writer, commencing with the simplest of things, and the most simple and fundamental of all is violent death. I was tired of death. I told the editor I wanted to move to a different beat. He said I was too good at the death knock to take me off it. I used to get stories sometimes from my guard mates. And then I got one about this guard who'd gone a bit rogue. Your man, the whistleblower, you know who I'm talking about. And my mate had some background on the whistleblower. It was sordid stuff. And to be honest, I knew to be wary of the guards. But this was a definite story. And not a death story. So I wrote it. And we ran it. And then that whole saga kicked off. The whistleblower said that what we'd written wasn't true. And the next thing they announced there'd be a tribunal. And my editor said he would back me, but he needed my notes. Not the names of my sources, just the notes I'd taken. And the thing is, when you have a source for a story, and you have to protect that source, and other people might be trying to guess who that source is, one simple way of doing that is to make your source plural. So I had quotes for sources, but I only had notes for one source. So I made some up. And I gave them to the boss. And that was fine. And then I got called before the tribunal. And they started asking me about my notes, and I got confused, and it became obvious that I'd made something up. And so I got a bit of heat, and fucking liberal Twitter exploded, and then the trolls started digging out my stories and reposting them and questioning them. And then the sister of the brothers that were killed in that car crash, she saw it, and she said the family had never spoken to me. And of course my story was full of quotes from the family. Innocuous quotes, the kind of things people say about young people that are dead. The kind of things that people had said to me on other stories about other dead kids. And then the thing just kind of snowballed, and the keyboard warriors went on a campaign, and it turned out I was not very good at the death knock after all. I was just very good at imagining it. Down and out in Paris and London. Orwell. Made half of them. Claude Coburn, one of the great war correspondents, made up an entire battle in the Spanish Civil War. Kapuscinski, the great foreign correspondent of Africa, notorious for making stuff up. You think Trump invented fake news? Do you know what? They were doing stuff the Liberals liked. Imagine your family is visited by a tragedy so awful it becomes a news story. Now, would you rather talk to a reporter, even if it's just to tell him to fuck off, or would you rather that reporter goes off and writes something that sates the public's appetite for your story without actually intruding on you? The public want a story. A true story. True to the spirit of life, not the details. The details are just chronology. Trump gets that. McGregor gets that. These guys, they got it. You know the other thing about those writers? They all left home to find their story. That meant going to war. Los Angeles. Head office of Breitbart News. Steve Bannon's place. I've got an interview. Wish me luck. There's a war on. Time I picked a side. It's good, isn't it? Got it on eBay. Made in China. Well, he promised a story, he never promised consistency. Thanks for being here. For the support. Oh. I was expecting it to still be here when she got back. Tell her there's a car for her.